Okay, lesson 8, page 25, problem number 47. You have three vectors, A, B, and C. You want to find their resultant using the component method. So what you have to do is break each one down into parts, yes? Well, vector A, if you look, A in the x direction is going to be how much?
5 meters.
Careful though, think back to
Zero.
exactly, because if you have an x-y axis, x is horizontal, how much of that vector is horizontal?
0 meters.
Right, none of it. It's totally vertical. So AX is going to be 0 meters, and AY would be how much? 5 meters. And then BX, the part of B in the x direction, this guy right here, how much would that be? 15 meters. And how much would be in the y?
0.
Exactly. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Now, vector C, we're going to have to do a little bit of work because it's a little bit horizontal and it's a little bit vertical. So we have CX and CY. So I can come back over here and break that C up into parts. And part of it is horizontal. That's C in the X direction. And let me erase this. This is 18, right? And part of it is in the Y direction. Yes?
Since it's going down in the y, or it's down the y direction, you got to make the y negative, right?
Bravo. Exactly. Awesome. So CY here is going to be negative. Okay? So we have to do a little SOHCAHTOA to figure out CX and CY. Now, if you're fancy-dancy, you should be able to know how to crunch those out right away. If you need practice, you might want to have, go through SOHCAHTOA. So for giggles, let's just go through SOHCAHTOA. If you know the hypotenuse and you're trying to get the legs, you can always use sine and cosine. So let's use sine first. What's the rule for sine? Sine of an angle in general is equal to what over what in a right triangle? Opposite over hypotenuse. Opposite over hypotenuse. So in this case, we have that 35 right here. No. So the sine of 35 degrees is going to equal the opposite side. Well, what's opposite of the 35, Sammy? Here's the 35. CY. C sub y, exactly. And what's the hypotenuse? 18 meters. And then if I crisscross multiply, it's like CY times 1 equals 18 meters times sine of 35. And what do I get when I end up doing that? 10.3. 10.3.
Don't forget to put the negative there.
Exactly. But don't forget to put the negative because it's going down. So CY right here is going to be negative 10.3 meters. And I knew it was going to be 18 meters times the sine of 35 because the CY was opposite of the 35. And if I did this long enough, I would just automatically know, and I wouldn't have to go back to the basics here. I would automatically know CX right here, what is that going to be equal to? What am I going to have to multiply to get it?
18 and cosine 35.
Bravo, exactly. So CX right here is going to equal 18 meters times cosine of 35 degrees. And if you crunch that out, what do you get? 14.7 meters. Awesome. So now that we have all the components, what we're going to do is find the resultant of all the x's, and then find the resultant of all the y's, and then find the resultant of those two resultants. But it's easy to find the resultant of all the x's because they're all on the same line. And if they're all on the same line, finding the resultant is just a matter of adding and subtracting. So we find the sum of all the components in the x direction. So it's going to be 0 plus 15 meters plus 14.7 meters And what does that come out to, Sammy?
29.7.
29.7 meters. And it's all positive. Okay? And then we're going to find the sum of the y's. Sum of the y's is equal to 5 meters plus 0 meters plus negative 10.3. And when we sum that up, what do we get, Sammy?
Negative 5.3 meters.
Negative 5.3 meters. And then we have to sketch a little head to tail diagram with those two. And when we find the resultant of those two, we found the resultant to the 3 originals right here. Okay? So let me make some space over here. So since it's going to the right, x to the right, I just sketch a little x1 going to the right. Ooh, I should start a little higher. Why should I start a little higher?
It's positive, and then the y is negative, so you're going to have to go down.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go down. So there's my total x plus 29.7 meters. And then my total y, negative 5.3 meters. And now I want to find big red. And how am I going to find that resultant?
C squared equals a squared plus b squared.
Bravo, excellent. So c squared is going to equal 29.7 meters squared plus, you could put it in positive or negative, doesn't matter because you're going to square it, 5.3 meters squared. And when you solve for c, what do you get?
30.2.
So that's the magnitude of the resultant. And then, last but not least, we have to find this angle over here, theta. And how do we find that angle?
Tangent equals
Tangent of theta. What's the general rule for tangent? Tangent equals
opposite over adjacent.
opposite over adjacent. So in this case, tangent of theta, our unknown, is going to equal, what is opposite?
Negative 5.3.
You could use negative 5.3, or I'm just going to put in 5.3 over the adjacent, which is going to be,
29.7.
and now you crunch that right-hand side out, and then you take inverse tangent because you're going after the angle, also known as arctangent. And when you do that, what do you end up getting?
10.1 degrees.
10.1 degrees. And you could say 10.1 clockwise from the, from what?
From zero.
From zero. Usually if you say clockwise, then you're going to use like either positive x, positive y, negative y.
From positive x.
From positive x. So you could say 10.1 degrees clockwise from positive x, or you could say 10.1 degrees, or you could say at negative 10.1 degrees, or you could say at 350.9 degrees.
It's just in speed.
Huh? Oh, 349.9. Yes. Okay. Any follow-up questions on this one? Where was your glitch? Where were you stuck?
The negative. I forgot the negative.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. You got it now? So always remember, and when you make these little triangles, make sure you put arrowheads on. You know, you look at the original and say, hey, is it sort of going to the right? Put an arrowhead to the right. Is it sort of going down? Put an arrowhead down. Because when you see it going down, that'll help you remember. Question? Question on this one?
Uh,
All right. Any other questions on this one?
Can we do attention? I have a problem.
Sure, sure.